Welcome to the Mastermind Balance podcast. Join your host, Melissa Boyle, as she explores aspects of life that influence your financial well-being and personal growth.
Welcome to today's episode of Mastermind Balance, and today I have with me Peter Shanley. So Peter is a leading senior counsel, and Peter is the founder of Barristers Direct, which is a really exciting new business. But first off, Peter, can you give us a bit of a background to what led you to where you are today?
Certainly, Melissa. And first of all, congratulations on the podcast. It's very important for people to know, what options are open to them when their financial security is at stake. So I'm delighted to join you. In terms of my background, I was born and raised in Dublin. I studied law in UCD. And after that, I decided to become a barrister. And I've been practicing at the bar for 22 years. And I became a senior counsel last year. So your listeners might be familiar with the split in the legal profession in Ireland. Lawyers in Ireland are either solicitors or barristers. So I decided that a career at the bar as a barrister was right for me. And as I said, I've been doing that for over 20 years.
And that is the one thing, even for me, I find the difference between a barrister first off and a solicitor. I know a lot of people are the same. They get confused in the roles. What is the difference between those two roles?
Yeah, well, as I said, lawyers in Ireland are either barristers or solicitors. And your listeners will probably be familiar with the role of a solicitor. And, they give legal assistance in many different areas of law in a range of situations, such as the conveyance of a property or the preparation of a will. But when it comes to legal disputes, solicitors often engage barristers to provide detailed advice on a case and to represent their clients in court. So barristers are highly trained courtroom advocates and legal advisors. They're highly qualified professionals, and they often specialize in one or more areas of the law. Barristers will put legal arguments to judges and to juries, and they cross-examine witnesses in a court case, and you would otherwise attempt to sway the outcome of a court case.
Okay. And I actually had a look at your background. You're a certified mediator. So I'd say that comes in really handy in the role as a barrister as well.
Yeah, well, recently there's been a real move towards mediation in terms of resolving disputes. And most cases that come before the courts will have gone through a mediation process before going to court. Judges are keen to try to facilitate parties in resolving disputes through a mediation process before, going into litigation in a court. So mediation is very much a big part of dispute resolution in Ireland nowadays.
Yeah, and it was a couple of months ago now, I seen an article, and it was about Barristers Direct, the launch of Barristers Direct. And it was explaining about, and I thought, what a fantastic service. Absolutely amazing. And as soon as I seen it, I knew that I was like, I have to get Peter on the podcast, because access to, it's not just financial barriers sometimes with people with the access to justice. I think it's a fear as well of not understanding what way it works, or not realising how the system works. And that's why I was asking you to explain the difference between barristers and solicitors and that. But now you've set up Barristers Direct. Could you tell me how that came about? What made you set that up, basically?
Certainly. Well, first of all, Barristers Direct is essentially it's a network of expert barristers practicing across a range of specialist areas. And those barristers will provide legal advice directly to clients without the need to go through a solicitor first. So this is a new development, and it was only made possible by the commencement of legislation late last year. So it's a major milestone for legal services in Ireland. So previously, to get legal advice from a barrister, you had to go through a solicitor first, who would then engage the services of a barrister. Now, companies and individuals could go directly to a barrister for pre-litigation advice. So in some instances, you'll only pay for one lawyer rather than two. So as I said, the law changed late last year, and to answer your question, that is what it inspired the establishment of Barristers Direct, to allow people get advice directly from barristers. And we felt that it was a huge opportunity for members of the public to get direct access to the top experts in the country in any particular area of law. Now, but there was a few barriers to it. First of all, the reality is members of the public would not necessarily know what barristers specialize in which areas of law and what barristers are genuine experts in those areas. And secondly, barristers, it has to be remembered, barristers are every barrister in Ireland is a sole trader. We're not part of a legal firm. So barristers don't have the admin supports around them to facilitate the fielding of queries from members of the public and the scheduling of online consultations. So Barristers Direct, I suppose, is a platform that solved those problems. It acts as a bridge between the barrister and the client. So we field queries, we take an outline of the nature of a legal dispute or query, and then we schedule consultations with barristers who are genuine experts in that area at the very top of their game. So we found that there's been a very positive response to the service that we've been providing so far.
Yeah, I could well imagine, yeah. And is there anything that it can't deal with?
Yeah, so the legislation that allows direct access to barristers, it limits the kind of scenarios that barristers can provide direct advice in to matters where there are not yet legal proceedings in being. Okay. So you can get direct access to a barrister and look for advice from a barrister where there's no case issued, there's no legal proceedings yet issued. And once legal proceedings have been issued, you need to get a solicitor also to instruct a barrister to get advice from the barrister. And so that is a limit on the direct access model as things stand.
Okay, so like to take us through the process, if somebody thought, okay, I have a case where I'll use defamation, for example. If somebody wanted to get information on defamation, and they would just contact Barristers Direct, what would happen? What would be the process? How would they walk through that?
Sure. So we received inquiries from, through our website, barristersdirect.ie. Okay. It's an online inquiry form. We receive inquiries by email, contact at barristersdirect.ie, or from our on the phone. The phone number is on our website. Whichever way you choose to contact Barristers Direct, our legal secretaries will take some details about the nature of the query and possibly look for some documentation from you in relation to your dispute. Yeah. And we then send a payment link to the client. And once the payment is made, Barristers Direct makes contact with a suitably expert barrister specializing in the type of law that your case, in this case, a defamation, your defamation query. And then once the barrister indicates their availability to deal with the matter, we schedule an online consultation. And typically, this takes place within about 10 days of making the initial inquiry.
Brilliant. So it's fast. It's a fast service, and that's really good. So the whole idea is that an individual will give you guys an idea of the query that they're looking at, and then you will pick out the most suitable barrister that's skilled in that area and that has experience in that area.
Exactly.
Great. And I read on your website as well, it says you've senior counsel and junior counsel. Is there a difference in cost, whether it's a senior counsel or junior counsel that somebody's dealing with, or is it all the same?
Well, in terms of the cost for the initial consultation, it's all the same.
Okay.
The client will pay Barristers Direct a flat fee, regardless of whether they're meeting with a junior counsel or a senior counsel. It should be noted, though, that beyond that initial consultation, so clients are getting an initial consultation for a flat fee with a senior counsel or a junior counsel. But if there's work required of the barrister beyond that initial consultation, initial advice, then the costs may vary depending on the kind of work that's involved. And that'll be simply a matter between the solicitor or between the barrister and the client to agree.
Yeah. Okay. And then there was one particular type of case that I thought of because we dealt with it in season 1 of this podcast, and we were dealing with individuals going through divorce or separation. And I'm aware that there is a DIY divorce and there's all these options that are out there. But I often think to myself, just if somebody is maybe not as financially literate or knowledge in certain areas, is that something that could be taken to, say, Barristers Direct, if they had an agreement done up with one of these? It could even be through a mediator or a DIY divorce. Is that something that somebody could bring to Barristers Direct to have a look over, and they could say, well, I see problems with this here or there? Would that be a type of case?
Absolutely. I mean, we've dealt with a number of family law cases since our launch. In fact, I mean, there's a surprisingly wide range of legal queries and disputes that we have dealt with. We've done an awful lot of family law matters. We've dealt with a lot of employment law disputes for both employers and employees. We've dealt with landlord and tenant disputes, both commercial tenancy arrangements and residential tenancy arrangements. We've done construction law disputes, breach of contract, personal injuries, defamation. We even got an inquiry from a gentleman who was accused of murder.
Yeah. The other thing then, it seems to be like technology is changing, modernization is changing the way we all do our work. I know with Electron, like before COVID, there was no such, we weren't lecturing online, where now it seems to be we're doing it all on, we're doing a lot of lecturing online. So with the legal system, Barristers Direct is a big shift, I think, in how the services are provided. Do you think that will keep changing?
Certainly. I mean, the Barristers Direct network and the network of barristers that we have are all members of the law library, and there's the services that the barristers can avail of from the law library include, recently now, they're running pilot projects on AI functions. So barristers have access to quite powerful AI technology, which will facilitate, obviously, the dealing with cases for Barristers Direct. But it's funny, we're seeing it a lot in the queries that come in. A lot of clients have utilized AI in terms of the preparation of the documentation that they're presenting to Barristers Direct. So we're seeing quite often quite comprehensive briefing documents that have been prepared by clients with the help of AI. So it's certainly changing the environment in which we're all working.
I actually had a discussion with somebody about that. They were saying they used ChatGPT 5, the new updated version. It's only a recent one, and I didn't even realize it come out. It's only when they mentioned it to me, to do up and prepare their whole case to give to a barrister. They'd got it all together. They say a similar thing, or it's either barrister or solicitor. And I thought, wow, that was absolutely amazing. They asked it questions, it threw back different scenarios, and I was so taken aback with how much this technology could actually do. Yeah, it's amazing how it's
absolutely, and we're seeing it, and we're seeing clients utilize it more and more.
Yeah. So there's a wide range of services that I've heard you deal with. It's like dealing with tenants, the family law, the rental agreements, and it's just everything. The employment law, you basically seem to cover everything.
We've got quite a large network of barristers that, as I said, will be practicing across all these different areas of law.
Yeah. And is there anything, if you could advise anybody that, just to let the listeners know, I will be sharing the link to the website and your phone number in with the podcast up on Spotify, the link to all the information there. But if somebody wanted to basically prepare in advance, or what information would you need off somebody before they get in touch with you to pull it all together?
Well, that can vary depending on the kind of query that you're dealing with. Really, what we've experienced is that we get a general inquiry outlining just in 2 or 3 sentences the kind of dispute that we're dealing with, the area of law, and our legal secretaries will make contact with you. And if there's further information required, they will seek that from you, and really with a view to being able to identify the most appropriate barrister to meet with you, but also to allow that barrister to read into the issue to some extent in advance of the meeting.
Okay. And it's not just Dublin, it's nationwide.
Yeah, it's nationwide. And we've been dealing with queries coming in from all across the country.
Okay. And just to clarify, when it comes to that change in legislation that allowed for direct access, so is that EU regulation? I'm just wondering the difference between, because I'm always concerned, when people are listening to TikTok videos, YouTube shorts, and it could be a UK, it could be something from the UK basically that they're talking about. Did they already have direct access there and it's just new to Ireland, or?
Yeah, direct access has been available in the UK since the early 2000s, I think. Maybe 2003, 2004. I'm not entirely sure. It came about in Ireland on foot of a combination of factors. The Competition Authority had looked into, they'd done a study into the legal profession in Ireland, and they found, this was in maybe 2006, they found that it was in need of substantial reform and recommended allowing direct access to barristers for legal advice. And that report that the Competition Authority did concluded that allowing direct access would have a positive effect on access to legal advice and result in lower overall costs for the client. But secondly, there was we'll all remember the financial crash, the recession, and the bailout that followed it. And when the Troika came in with the bailout and the conditions attached to that bailout, one of them was that we reform and modernise the provision of legal services in Ireland so as to reduce costs. So a condition of the bailout was that we do that, and one of the reforms that they made was direct access to barristers, and that was contained in the Legal Services Regulation Act, and that's how this has all come about.
Okay, because that's this podcast is about financial well-being, financial literacy, and that was why I wanted to get you on, because access to justice and having the financial means for people to access it, they always seen it as a barrier, but this definitely does open up a route for them, I think, which is absolutely fantastic. So well done.
Well, thanks for that. I mean, there is obviously, we do have in Ireland, we have free legal aid in certain types of cases, in family, for example, and I think your listeners should be aware that free legal aid is available in family law situations, but that does not cover a barrister's direct consultation, for example. So the barrister's direct model doesn't cover situations where a client is availing of free legal aid. But I suppose because free legal aid is really only applicable in some certain situations,
it's a fairly low cutoff point for the legal aid. So I think you have those people that are caught in the middle, that there's nowhere for them to go. And I think this service, for those people that don't have access to legal aid, this is a great option for them, just to go and meet with somebody and get that bit of advice to see if it's worth their while maybe proceeding in a particular direction.
That's precisely the point. And getting advice early on in a dispute can be really helpful to clients, because they can, make decisions based on clear, concise advice from someone that practices in this area of law and runs these kind of cases every day in their lives, so they know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, and it could save people from going down a long legal route that just isn't worth their time or money, basically, at the end of it. So getting that legal information and advice at the very beginning is so important. Yeah, so Peter, that's been really great. I'm delighted that I had you on the podcast to have a chat about this, because as I said, when I seen it advertised, I thought this is just it's such an improvement in the access to justice. It's a great innovative move, so well done. Is there anything you'd like to share with our listeners before we finish up, or is there anything you'd like me to progress on?
Not at all, Melissa. Thanks for having me on.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Master My Balance. If you liked what you heard, then be sure to hit like and subscribe. And why not share with like-minded people? Until next time, you can follow us on all socials at Master My Balance. And we'll see you next time.